This is gonna be a hard one to talk about because it's probably the most serious, horrifying film of the year, and yet we have a tiny dog running around our feet as we record this. So we're gonna try and be serious about this, but every now and again we might have to pick this little guy up to try and cheer everyone up.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Yay!
Now let's be sad again. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Detroit, and this is the quest for the best, the look at the hey dog. Hey. Alright, fine, I'll bring you up here. This is the quest for the best, our look at the films that everyone called the best movies of the previous year. And we're watching them all back to back to back, leading up to our best films of the year countdown at the end of this month. Oh boy, I was dreading this one. Hey buddy.
Yeah.
Cause I had heard how heartbreaking, horrifying, just upsetting this film is. And I went in there expecting to be heartbroken, to be really sad. This movie makes you mad as fuck.
Oh yeah.
This movie makes you, God, I wanted to pick up a trash can and throw it through a pizzeria after this. Don't do that, by the way. No. That's a reference to another movie. I'm not actually advocating anything. And the thing that makes this the most horrifying is that this is the true story of something that happened in the 1960s. And I was listening to the Double Toasted guys talk about this, and they said, yeah, you could look up these guys' addresses. Again, they're not advocating that either, but at the end of this film, it does that thing that all biopics do where they say, this is what happened to this person, this is what happened to this person, this is what happened to this person. When they talk about the racist cops who kill these guys, they don't talk about them. It only shows what everybody else did here. The actual villains of this movie, they don't tell you what became of them, and I think it's because they know, even if they said they currently live in this city, there would be people storming that city alright, time to take out the phone book. If we can find one of those. I'm sure phone books still exist somewhere. But yeah, this is the story of, in the 1960s, well actually this thing starts off going way further back, which we should point out, you only watched half an hour of this movie.
Yeah, and I already understood how horrible and tragic.
And you basically were out, I can't, I'm not taking it.
No, it's...
I sat through this whole thing and whew.
It's I can't even look up on the news or anything anymore because all this shit's depressing.
Gotta stay on top of it. You gotta know how.
I know, it sucks.
You can't just know the world's on fire. You have to know how much fire there is and where. Although in 2017, I think it was basically just that picture of the California landscape as those cars were driving in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this thing starts off by basically giving you the history of racism in America. It breaks down after people left the cities and started moving towards suburbs, they took all this work from them, then they started forcing black communities into smaller and smaller areas in the cities, and they started getting policed by mostly white police officers, and at this time mostly white police officers tended to be mostly racist. And this thing starts off showing just a party being broken up in Detroit. They come in there and they say, well, you don't have a liquor license. And it's it's just a party. Just people hanging out. They're not doing anything wrong. Well, they bust everybody in there, take them all to jail, and they're there's no back door. We have to take them out the front. They take them out the front, and everybody sees what's happening. And then that night, someone just goes, fuck it. And they start breaking into stores and start looting. And then from there, it just escalates and escalates. I was 13 minutes into this film when they say that they had the National Guard and tanks rolling into Detroit. Tanks rolling down an American city.
That's just terrifying.
That's something that actually still goes on to this day, by the way.
That's what makes it even more terrifying.
But there's a moment in which a little girl is watching Daffy Duck on TV, and she's got a stuffed animal with her, and she hears noise outside. She goes to the window, opens up the blinds, and the guy on the top of the tank goes, "Sniper!" and shoots a hole is in that wall now. And I just went, Jesus fuck! I was mortified watching that. I was, oh god. This is by Catherine Bigelow. I believe that was her name. I have to look that back up again because I am the worst with names. Yay, scroll up. But she's the one, yeah, Catherine Bigelow. But she did The Hurt Locker, which is probably my favorite war movie of all time, because that's a film where it just keeps skipping ahead over various points of this person's time in, I believe it was Iraq. And every single time that skips ahead, the segment that shows you is more terrifying than the last thing that you just experienced. So every time that jumps ahead, you're oh god, that last one was too much, and this is gonna be worse. And at like the 13-minute mark of this movie, I just went, oh, fuck. This is gonna be even harder than that. And what this all comes down to is this is a 2.5-hour long film. And about an hour into this movie, this group of musicians, which it shows you, this is basically the story of like 4 different people. There's John Boyega, who plays a security officer, who has to like patrol this building, and you see him like trying to go up to the cops and he's like, yeah, we're kind of on the same side here, we're working together, I'm gonna give you guys some food just as a peace offering. And you still see the cops are like, hey, thanks a lot, man. So, how much longer is this gonna go on? Why would I know? You know, just, you know, you might know some. Like, they're looking at him, like, even when he is, like, doing the same job they're doing and bringing them peace offerings, the cops are still looking at him like, yeah, but, you know, you're black, so you clearly know how all these black people are thinking right now. So it's like, yeah, they're still treating him like he's not part of their team. So it's them, this group of musicians, who they're like about to break out, they're about to become a big deal, but then all this shit goes down. It's like the night in which they're supposed to have their big performance, like right before then, it's like, the cops said everyone has to get out because it's about to get too dangerous in here. Like, there are riots going on outside the street, like, while they're trying to do a show, and eventually they're just shut down. And yeah, anytime that you go into the streets, it's madness. Like, you see people just trying to walk home, and there's like, they're avoiding like giant riots. The cops are just busting everybody, like some of them against the walls. There's a moment in which you see the cops, you see like inside the police station, and it is just wall to wall people waiting to be put into jails, but there's no space in the jails anymore. So it's just people just sitting like in the floor, like leading up to like the head officer's like office. Like, the place in which is like, yeah, only police officers. Nope, standing room only for people they're waiting for jail cells to open up with. Like, that's how bad the cops are just busting everyone down in this area. And another person it follows is this insanely racist cop. Like, even his commanding officer, like, calls him racist. And this guy, he looks like Rorschach from The Watchmen if he was like 20 years younger and way more of a weenie. Like, that's basically the best way to describe it. Like, he just looks like a piece of shit. Like, and I apologize to this actor, but like, I kind of wanted to applaud him because like, I'm insulting you by saying you look like a piece of shit, but you were supposed to, and you captured that. You kind of nailed this. So it follows him, and he's like the worst. Like, he shoots someone as they're running away, and then as the person continues to run after getting shot, like, the guy just looks at him and was like, man, hell of a specimen. I was like, fuck you. So that's the third group that it's following, and then at the end, like, all of them kind of start to come together. Like, the musicians end up meeting these girls, and they end up taking them to this hotel room.
Yeah, white girls, by the way. Yeah.
Which is actually important to the plot here. They meet these 2 white girls, they take them to this hotel room, they meet this guy there, who, this guy is really just kind of, he's trying to explain to them what it's like to be black, to have cops go up to you and like to try and intimidate you, to try and be like, okay, you know, try and use violence on them. And she's trying to explain that to them by taking out a toy gun and threatening another person in the room, only to realize like, yeah, this was all a stage play, we weren't actually doing anything. But then there are some gunfire, some gunshots heard out, and they end up, and the racist cop and 2 other insanely racist cops, like, there's one guy in there, he's not the main racist cop, but he's just standing in the background the whole time. Like, he barely says anything, and he's just constantly has this look like, I was like, oh dear. Like, the main guy is like a supervillain. This guy is just a monster. Like, this guy looks like he doesn't even have enough brain cells to scrape together to form a thought other than hate. And them and some National Guards, they all end up storming the place, and they beat the shit out of these guys. They shoot and murder one of them right there. And John Boyega is also there at this. And John Boyega is just like, guys, just tell him who had the gun, tell him who was doing the firing. And it's like, there's no gun here. Like, they're trying to explain to them, like, we didn't do anything. Like, they had nothing that they could tell them. And the next like hour of this film is just you trapped in this building as these racist cops just torment these people, just basically keep trying to break them down. And you can tell it's not even about the gun, like, because the moment that they walk into the room and they see 2 white girls with all these black guys, they are pissed. Like, they are treating the white girls like shit too, and like, they're going up to them, it's like, how dare you fucking like, how dare you hook up with these black guys. Like, what, white guys aren't good enough for you? It's like, man, that really does just kind of like let you know like where their headset is at.
Like, you know, they're just using the gun as an excuse.
At this point, it's like, yeah, they're just fucking racists who just want to torture these guys, and that's what they do. For an hour they torture these guys, and that whole segment is so horrifying. Like I said, it's about an hour into this movie. It feels like that previous hour was another film. Like, it feels like that was a lifetime ago in a different universe. Like, it feels like it's so not connected to this part of the film, because this feels like an isolated just segment of hell. Like, it doesn't even feel like there's any hope of like returning to the outside world from this. And the end of this film, it's just the trial, because they actually, like, after that, they eventually realize, fuck, maybe there is no gun. Fuck, maybe we screwed up. So they just take the guys one by one over to the dead body in the room, and they go, do you see anything? No, I don't see anything. All right, never say anything about this, and let them out. And then eventually one, just like the last one goes, it's a dead body. You killed someone. I'm not being quiet about this. Oh, is she getting too frisky?
Yeah, she's getting a bit nippy.
Yeah, she's teething.
Yes.
So she likes to bite. She's still just a baby. But yeah, then at the end they end up shooting and killing another person. And from there, it's basically like a third movie, because it's the trial of all of this. And first off, the only cop who gets called in is John Boyega, who isn't even a cop. They just go, yeah, you were in that area, and you carry this type of gun that fires this type of bullet, right? Yeah, you're going in. And they, like, just that's it. No questions or anything. They just take him into a jail cell. And the jail cell, it's standing room only. Like, people are pressed against the bars. It's that bad in there. And there's just such a great segment of him just standing there, just like shaking, just because he's like, how the fuck did I get here? Which, if I had like one complaint about this film, which I have a few like small like nitpicks, but if I had like one like big one, after this point, it doesn't really focus on John Boyega that much. After he goes into jail, it doesn't focus on him that much. I wanted to focus more on him. Like, I think he still had a lot of interesting stuff to tell in his side of the story, but it mostly focuses on the musicians who are now trying to go to courts to get the racist cops like actually like charged for this, like have them actually go to prison for this. And yeah, it's great focusing on all of them. And I also particularly enjoyed, like, if there was one moment in this film I actually laughed at, I guess, it's after the commanding officer, who knew that this racist cop was a racist, realizes what he did. He like chases him out of the police station, and then gets in his car, locks the doors, and he's just sitting there in the car, and the police officer is, get the fuck out of here, you racist piece of shit. And then he just sits there and goes, I want to speak to my attorney. And I was like, you weenie ass mother, like, such a fucking worm. Such a fucking, like, I'm sorry for using such bad language, but that moment, he was such a cowardly little shit. It would be humorous if it wasn't so deadly serious. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this movie is so tense that if there's any like sign of humor, it will make you laugh. Like, that's just how like tension works. Like, eventually you have to release it. That moment I kind of like chuckled at, because I was like, he's so fucking pathetic. Except that then you have to remind yourself, he's also pure evil. But this is the thing that made me the most pissed about this film. As much of a villain as the racist cop is, it then goes into the trial. His lawyer, played by John Krasinski, you know, good guy Jim from The Office, he's playing the lawyer for the racist cops. He is the most, you want to beat the shit out of him in every line. He is constantly going up to these musicians and is like, what's your arrest record? Just like that's his question right off the bat. Like, just instantly trying to make the jury think of these guys as criminals. And one of them eventually snaps and goes, do you think I did this? Am I on trial? Why does it matter what my arrest record is like? And the thing is, in Detroit, everyone's got an arrest record because all the cops are like, hey, what are you doing over there? Come with me, we're going in. And I was like, yeah, I told you about like the standing room only stuff. I was like, not all of them were doing anything. Some of them were just out like walking around in the middle of the day. And it was like, nah, we don't like you, come in. So yeah, everyone in this town has an arrest record. So yeah, he's instantly just trying to get the jury against them. He is dismissing everything. It's like, so they say that they had your face against the ground. If your face was against the ground, how do you know they shot him? I mean, you heard a gunshot, but how do you know who did it? Oh, there's no way of proving anything. I was like, fuck, he's so just a malicious, he's everything you don't want lawyers to be. He is the worst interpretation of a lawyer. Like, you want Daredevil to beat the shit out of these guys afterwards. Like, like someone be like the hero that takes these guys out. And at the end of this film, like I said, everyone gets off. Everyone gets off scot-free. Like, the only positive side of this is that John Boyega also gets off. The guy who had nothing to do with any of this. But yeah, these 3 racist asshole cops get off. Like I said, this is real. This thing happened, and in the end, when it goes, this is what happened to this guy, this is what happened to this guy, this is what happened to this guy, it doesn't tell you what happened to them, and I know it's because they said, it's like, yeah, they all live in this town with their family. It's like, people would want revenge. Like, this is a movie that will make you bloodthirsty. So yeah, it's an incredibly unpleasant film to watch, but it's an incredibly important film.
Yeah.
And the whole point of movies is to make you feel an emotion. I was so tense watching this. I still got more tense at Hurt Locker. I like that one a little bit more as far as like Catherine Bigelow films go. But man, this was an excellent, like, just, it showed how she knows how to do like tension, how she knows how to do like, just put you in situations that are so traumatic and just have you on the edge of your seat and you are just horrified the entire time. Only, like I said, only real small like complaints I had is that I wanted more of John Boyega at the end. But also, yeah, this film, it doesn't quite flow from one thing into the next all that much. Like the guys they meet in the hotel, I wish we had gotten to know them as well. They just kind of appear at that moment, and I think it would have been more dramatic if like we had gotten more on them before that, because we get more on John Boyega, we got more on the musicians. Really, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it doesn't, like, I'm not saying it doesn't flow well as in like, oh, it feels like 3 separate films, although it kind of does, but it kind of works in that way.
It feels like maybe like an anthology in a way. Like,
no, not quite like that, but it feels more like it has chapters to it rather than being like a continuous flowing thing. And it feels like the last part of this, the trial, which to me was like very fascinating as well. It feels like that one got cut short because this is like 2.5 hours long, and it feels like that one was probably meant to be like another hour long because like the setup's an hour, them in the actual hotel is an hour. Then it feels like this should have been an hour as well, but it got cut short. So yeah, it feels, you know, I would like to see if there's like an extended version of this. But yeah, I was really damn impressed by this film. It's not for everybody, but it feels like one of those things that you probably should watch once just to know, oh, this shit happened, and not that long ago.
Yeah, that's what makes it even more horrifying.
Yeah, because it's also, it's not like, oh, this was like one racist cop, or, you know, one racist cop and his friends. Like, no, they break it down for you. This is the way that this city operated. Like, they were being patrolled by just massive squads of these guys. Like, that was the kind of people like in charge of this area of Detroit. Like, they let you know, no, this is how it works. This is what happened. And yeah, it's a really shocking film to have to sit through. But I really did enjoy this. Well, enjoy is a strong word. I really did have a passionate response to this.
You were very engaged.
Thank you. But yes, that is it for this episode of The Quest for the Best. We only have one more film that we're talking about. It's probably the one that you guys have been waiting for me to talk about the longest. And we also have 2 more installments of the Gauntlet of Garbage, where we look back at all the worst films of the previous year. So make sure that you come back for all that. And of course, it's all leading up to our top 10 films of the year and our worst 10 films of the year. So thank you guys for tuning in. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.